Thank you, sir. But yeah, we just had that little bit of a whiplash. Took out stops at the top, took out stops at the bottom, and then came back up to the top of the range before falling the rest of the night. You probably could have had one more trade right in here, but that's really about it. Structure to structure. I'm telling you, these structure plays as well, they've been pretty solid. If you had been able to take a short right up in here, then you'd have been able to target that structure. But overnight, we have fallen all the way down to this guy. Which is that mean threshold on the higher time frame. I hated that the ESU doesn't show it. So like the one that I'm trading with, and I have to go to the ES, kind of get it. Yeah, it's this main threshold. We picked that out yesterday, kind of figured out which ones we were talking about. The daily. Every day. Uh-huh. I gotta start marking this stuff. There we go. So is the weekly, apparently. Just need to get off and then come back to it, I guess. I don't know why I won't do it in the moment. But anyways, we drew that out, kind of stopped right on it. It's where these tops of these weeks closed. Morning, Kyle. And that's where price just kind of came down to. It looks like we're gonna maybe retest a little bit more. On the weekly, to me, is a little bearish. Maybe we tap a little bit further down. I don't know, but indicators are becoming like apps or something for everything. So that'd be kind of nice to figure out how to build. Package it up. A little bit of a bearish move down yesterday, obviously, and then right into that mean threshold, and then on top of these two um, candles right here. I personally, I'd like to see just a continuation. Um, I don't know though. I think we got a little bit more pullback. We got a lot of news. Today's big day for news. So non-farm at 7:15, unemployment at 7:30, PMI at 10, and also JOLTS at 10, which is weird to have non-farm and JOLTS on the same day. I don't think I've ever seen that. It was the way the fourth started. So a lot of news before open today. I like this kind of a target. If we do get a good push down, we got structure on a lower time frame right in there, and then the top of this order block right there. I think that's the one that I had on the 3-day or 2-day. Yeah. So right in here, structure at the top of that, which hits about the mean threshold of that. Some good areas for price to come down to. So we still have this huge. We did create um, we did create this. This is a 3-day? Okay. Man, I gotta wake up, I guess. I don't know. I was sitting there like, why isn't that already closed? Because I thought I was on the daily. Anyways, we got a whole day left. Um, let's see how much further down into this inefficiency this price comes down to. But again, we've got this structure, top of this order block right in here. Structure below is the mean threshold of that. We're currently sitting close to the consequent encroachment of this huge wick, which is right on the mean threshold of that weekly. So a lot of reasons for price to come down. I don't see with this type of structure, I don't see price just immediately turning back up. So might get a little bit of a move and then further down move. So we have to pay attention to that. Let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, broke below that structure there, holding right here. But yeah, I think this is the area that I like the most. Right in there. So even though the dollar and the markets are really not in tandem with one another. But dollar came up, hit the daily price line, and just sold off during right after London Open. So London Open, we had a push into the daily price line, and then we sold back off all the way back down here to the median. Let's see if the median will hold it up. Pretty good place last time. This was the 2 o'clock news, man. I saw this building, and I thought, yeah, we're going to crush down into this liquidity, probably even down into this fair value gap. Did not. Like we had this candle looked really bearish for a whole minute, and then just snap back up. But again, the markets didn't really react to that all that much. So first thing, I'm actually going to take this off right here. See how price reacts to that a little bit later. And right above that, nice order block. You can throw a line right there, but I'm going to put the mean threshold on it since I'm on the 15-minute. So that's going to be a price where price can possibly come back up into, and then you got the Monday high. See how much lower it goes. Are we going to sweep these lows? Are we going to come down here for this? Or do we just keep falling taking out all this equal low down in here. Either way, I think we have reason to bounce and see what these two places are going to do to price. We get a little bit of a bounce and then a roll. And like I said, price with the dollar and the markets have not really been quite right. Like they haven't been opposite of each other like it normally is. So dollar has a reason to be bullish in this area to kind of push back up, which gives me reason to believe that the ES is coming down. But again, it doesn't mean that, exactly. So see how big of a bullish bounce we get off of this. No. Yeah, I don't think so either. I didn't read about OPEC yesterday either. Um, let's see, what did it do with the oil? That's probably where we'd see it at. Oil kept pushing yesterday. Pretty good bullish day yesterday. So yesterday was day one of the OPEC meetings. You still have them today as well. So if anything, it was oil happy. It's a weird candle. Pretty good gap right here too. And price looks like it's trying to break out of this little area. So I don't even know what that candle is. June 5th. There wasn't any kind of like oil news on June 5th. And that was all PMI that day. I don't know, weird candle on my chart. Never seen one. Okay. Back to the dollar though. Yeah. I think we've reached a point where we just got to watch and see what the dollar does in this area. So we can probably draw a pretty good trend line from here to here. This is probably a little bit too low, but Yeah. Liquidity below that. I don't know. I kind of like the dollar to fall a little bit this morning, but again, we've got news. So literally everything we're probably doing on this chart doesn't mean anything with non-farm and unemployment claims, jolts and everything. And normally we have 2 days between the ADP non-farm employment change and the actual non-farm employment change on Friday. But this is going to be a back-to-back unemployment claims and unemployment rates back-to-back. There's usually a couple of days in between that too. And JOLTS is usually a day before the ADP, which is again weird that it's not. Just drop on down into the hourly. If the dollar continues to fall, then I mean my expectations would be that we get a pullback. I like that as an area. Put a line on that. Monday low and the daily price line just above it. So I think obviously pay attention to the news. News at 7:15 and 7:30. There's gonna be some big ones. Or 8:15 and 8:30, I'm sorry, Eastern time. Definitely no trading right now. Looks like it's just kind of until news. It's the 21 EMA. And I've also been when the market gets close to opening on the lower time frames, I will drop in the VWAP and really play it. So that's been kind of a helper at market open. Like I said, I've been paying attention to market open, taking trades right at market open, just after, and just really playing the momentum, especially on the NQ. It's got way better momentum than the ES, and I tend to, I don't know, reach my limit in profit quicker without having to think about the trade that's in motion at the moment. And so right now it's kind of the way I'm playing it in trading. So I like that straight line right there for price to kind of come back up into. We'll see how it plays around with that. But yeah, this is basically what the chart will look like at market open. And then every now and then if I do see, lines, then I'll throw the trend line up, which is the Lux Algo free trend line with breaks. I do like seeing that. However, these trend lines are not the same trend lines that I would be using. So it hasn't been up as much on my chart lately. And the reason being is because they go from the wicks, and I think it's just it's based on a degree. So it'll have a trend line up here on the top of this wick, and it'll just be pointing out to nothing. And I think it's just a matter of the degree that it's based on. Um, but they usually do have pretty good. They're usually pretty solid. So But see how it's just down here and it was just out into nothing. So when this one formed, it was just out here into nothing. And then now you got price touching up against it. So there's a sell, when it breaks below the red line, buy when it breaks above the green line. Usually it coincides with the 21. So if the 21 EMA is below price as it breaks the trend line to the upside, it'll be a buy with a larger one like that. But again, I use it, but I don't have it on there all the time because I can kind of see trend lines because I use them most often anyways. So my trend line would have probably been right in here. And I put them on the body, not the wicks. I touch body to body. And then if a wick does hit it, then a wick hits it. But from here to here, body to body, to me, that is a truer calculation of that trend. And it will also give me a quicker view of price breaking down. So if I had the 8 EMA up as well, the 8 would probably be crossing at around this break. Perfect. But I've looked at that so many times, and I know I've said it before. I don't have to have it there because I kind of just I know that's what's happening. So if we had to put one up here and drew it from this body through this body and down, look at where that break happened. It's like perfect. Yeah. But if you're up here on the wick, and let's say you go from wick, for one, it doesn't even match up right through here. Actually, that's pretty solid. Bad example on my part. Good example. Bad example. However, the break you wouldn't have gotten into a trade right there until the trend lines were crossed. So to me, this is just not as true of a, doesn't tell you exactly. I don't know how to explain that, but I do like trend lines. I do like the break. I don't mind EMA crosses. I don't use them as much anymore. Just like I said, I use them so much I can see them happening without them. I do like the 21 just because price tends to, after it makes a big move, it does tend to pull back to it. Initially. Um, I love trend lines, Kyle. I've always liked trend lines. Even if you're not um trading them at the break. So it may keep you a little more patient in certain trades. So let's put this one back up here. But it also, with trend lines, to me, you have to really practice putting trend lines up because why not here, right? And to me, the reason why not there is because look how you get these different types of moves and stuff. You can just kind of see the trend of where it needs to be over time if you do it enough. And again, body to body. But if you're waiting, and this is a 5-minute chart, so you've had from the time this trend line formed. I'm gonna move this up. Sorry, 4:30 until it broke at 6:20. So it's 2 hours of price coming down and bouncing, basically at it, not necessarily on it, but at it, before we actually get a break. And once we get the break, That's when I start looking for. I don't take the trade at the breakout because I would have been stopped out here. I probably possibly could have been stopped out there. So I take the break and close, and then I want to see price respect it. It does. So we had a second break, and then I would want a retest of the 21. Retest of the 21, see where it closed, and then we get a rejection down from there and another rejection. So this could have been a sell right here. Now, I don't, that's the way I would have traded it years ago. But now I take into account all of the other market structure points and everything. Like we're basically at a support. We're down here at a higher time frame, probably order block. This is probably some type of order block right here. So if you let's go to the 4 hour. I mean, yeah, but really not one I was looking for. There you go. There you go. So we're situated right here at this order block. So to me, I'm not taking a sell right here because to me, this is an area in which I expect price to bounce from. So I'm not going to sell because there's a trend line on a lower time frame. I mean, you can scalp it, for a couple of points here and there, maybe. But I think you're just kind of setting yourself up for small losses that you're going to have to make up when your actual trade happens. So, but I look at trend lines now more for like liquidity. So that's the reason I always point out I like that straight line. So the straight lines to me are one, trends that have formed with liquidity above it. So you draw that straight line out, and then if price starts coming back up with the break of that, then you can only assume that it's going to come get some of that liquidity. But it also keeps you, from just jumping straight into trades. So if we quiet it down and just have the pivot points and stuff on there, and you can really zoom into areas using a trend line, body to body. I mean, look how here, we broke down through it. Where did we come back? Right there. And then the breakdown. I'm pretty sure 21 is probably going to be around that. Yeah. But you could have taken that trade easily off of anything else. Nothing. Like it's because here's the thing. This trend line is on my chart. It's not on your chart. There's no indicator, even if you use the trend line breaks indicator, this is not going to be one of the trend lines. Sorry. This is probably not going to be drawn on that chart. So trend lines are very, very subjective. Like I see this trend, you don't. So I've got it on my chart. You may not have it on your chart. So price is not necessarily going to respect trend lines that are on your chart. You know what I mean? Like they can, like that one worked perfectly, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be on every chart. So again, the reason I like trend lines is because you do see these trends forming, but you may not have a trend line on that. To me, I draw trend lines to show liquidity now. So if you go to the dollar yesterday in this area, 15-minute chart, I had a trend line right there. And that trend line was strictly just to give me a visual of price making this move up. But as you can see, it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really respect it after the first couple of candles. We do stay above it, but it doesn't really close on it or anything. So, you know, it's one of those things that I drew out because I knew there's liquidity below it. So if it did decide to break down, that would have been where my eyes were. But we broke down and immediately rejected back up. So you can take trend lines with kind of a grain of salt. Like if you like them, that's cool. Draw them on your chart. I like them. The only thing that I would say that if you did use trend lines, use the bodies. I think the saying goes, the wicks do the damage, but the bodies tell the story. Isn't that right? Did I say that right? I think it might be ICT or I don't know, somebody. But because the wicks are what okay. Because the wicks are what where price ended up going, right? But there's wicks all over the place. The wicks don't really kind of stay with one another, but the bodies are really where it's at. And I mean, I've been using the bodies on my trend lines since forever ago. And if you want to get better at drawing trend lines, um, get to one of these charts, go to the 4 hour or the daily. Like Forex is a lot better for it. Go to, I mean, you can use the dollar or you can go to the Euro USD or whatever. And whoa, let me get that. Let me quiet the noise and just go back. Like, shoot, go way back. Four hour. I was on a 5 minute chart. And just go way back. Find price at a long time ago and just start connecting the bodies, right? So right here is where I would start. And you see how price beautifully, this is the reason why I love Forex. Body right there, body, bodies, bodies. And then you come all the way up here. And look how when it broke through, let's see it respecting it from the underside. So you start drawing trend lines, man, you start getting fascinated by how the market moves. Body to body. And then I guarantee you, watch this. I'm going to put the 8 and the 21 on. The 21 is going to cross right in here. Definitely. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, there's going to be a cross of the 8 as well. Yeah. So, but look at where price started to explode. So early indication that momentum was changing and we were going up. And then look at that candle as we break through that trend line. But is there really any potential to get in there, right? So not really. But you can just come through price and hook up the bodies there. And then you can see again, price crossed here. We broke down through the trend line at that cross and then came back to retest it before breaking down further. So, I mean, there's an argument for it. And I used to trade the 1 hour chart on Forex and had what was called, at least I called it, the coach's strategy. You've heard me talk about it plenty of times, where you have a trend line. This is not a very good example. But anyways, on the hourly, You would have basically a trend line break and across the EMAs, and then I would take the retest of the 21. That's not a good example at all, but that was that strategy. So I used to do it on the hourly, and I hated it because look how long I had to wait. Like I liked it because it kept me patient, super patient. And at the time, patience is what I really needed. But look how long I had to wait for a trade to set up. And what if I got here in the trade? This candle had already come in, you know. So it was one of those like good bad things. The Euro USD right there. Let me get this off there. I don't mind the 21 being there. So here I'd probably put a trend line right there. And what I do here, and the reason I'm putting a trend line there is because I see the potential pullback, right? So price comes up and touches it, price comes up. This is a good potential for price to come down, and look what coincides with it, the Monday low. So from here, I'd want to see price trickle back down. Will we get to it? I don't know, but because we also have this coming straight across. So it may not actually get down there to it. But if it does, it might wick into it and then reject. And that would be a good potential area to think about maybe buying. Oh, there you go. That's a good explanation, Chris. Just read that. Yeah. Yeah, because usually the trend lines are higher resistance, right? Until you break through them. And then the low resistance is on the other side of that, usually. It's not always the case. But again, I might be the only person that has this trend line on his chart. So it's not something that's guaranteed or always going to be there or anything like that. So you have to basically just take it like this is potentially where price can come to. Um, price has respected it a couple of times. So there's a chance that it could respect it again, but there's also a chance that price could get down into here and just flush. So, it's not like this is probably one of the times, one of the things that kept me from setting limit orders as well, because I'm the only one drawing it. Now, if it respects it again and then bounces, then yeah, there might be quite a few people that have the same trend line or at least a similar trend line put on their chart. But the take it easy, Chris. Be careful today. Um, News at 7:15, 7:30, and 10. Could be some good ends trades in there though. But have a good weekend. Yeah, so but trend lines to me are just a good way to show liquidity to myself now, right? And if we do get a break, it kind of gives me an idea visually of how far this could break, right? I was always pretty good in geometry. So maybe that's the reason why I see trend lines better. I don't know. After geometry, I sucked in math. So, but as far as today goes, we've got some big news out. So like I said earlier, everything we're doing right now might not mean anything. Um, the news that's coming out might completely change the direction of the dollar. So we got to be careful there. And it will affect the markets for sure. So just know when, be patient, take those trades that you've been taking lately. One thing that I find that's really impressive about your trading, Kyle, is the fact that you are perfectly okay with cutting a trade no matter where it's at. That's you can't teach that. Like if it's not working the way you want it to work, you're out. And you can't teach that. It's an emotional it's you are detached emotionally from the trade, and that's exactly where that's something that, I think people can work on, but it's definitely not something that can be taught. It can only be pointed out, because I've known for a long time that 90% of my trades that work out immediately. And if they don't, it's better for me to just go ahead and cut the trade wherever it's at. Like if I had taken a trade here to go long, because it's fair value gap or whatever, say I get in right there and I have to hold through all of this. Maybe I have my stop below this guy or way down here and it stays in. It does eventually work out, right? But look how long I had to wait. It's 15 minutes, 15-minute candles. Whereas if I had just realized, hey, we popped and then rejected, go ahead and take a small loss or a small win, get out, wait for someplace better. There you go. I would have been, I'd be so much more positive in trades. And I recognize that. And I probably even recorded myself saying I need to go ahead and get out of this trade because it's not working out. Usually it works out right away and it's not. Um, but that's something that is really impressive about your trading that not a lot of people can do. Again, we've got news coming out at 7:15, non-farmer payroll and unemployment rate. I say 7:15 Central Time. It's 8:15 Eastern Time. So we've got these big daddies that are coming out early. So it could really actually change the complete direction of everything that we've said today. This type of news this week. So technically speaking, just looking at it, I would say that we come back up, right? Because we're at this order block right here. You draw a line right through the middle of it. That's where price is kind of situating and respecting. So if we're looking at just the technicals and we're not paying attention to news, then I would expect price to come back up, at least to the median. You do have liquidity right here. So if price continues to run, we could see the Monday high again. Um, but yesterday we put in a pretty good high. So depending on news, depending on what the dollar decides to do or whatever, if we want to play against that, then we could see kind of a push up and then a push down into liquidity. We've got structure here. We got structure here. So initially, right now, technically speaking, then I would say price should be bouncing right off of this mean threshold and going higher. Um, and this is the way that I would play the market if that's what was going to happen today. Unfortunately, though, we have news coming out at drop into a 15-minute. We've got news coming out at 8:15. Let me darken that up. I'm going to put make it a red dot because these are red folder news. And then we also have it coming out at 8:30 and then 10 o'clock. So we've got news at these three places, all of which are red folder news. So if price is going to jump, it needs to go ahead and jump, and we can quietly take trades right in here. But once we get here, then we're waiting on what the news is telling us to do. So that's the direction, man. And where I think, oh, this is the NQ. I'm sorry. Wow, we made lower lows, but we're still at a mean threshold on a higher time frame, right? Pointed that out earlier. So again, I would expect higher highs. Maybe look for a break here. Wow. We do have a little bit of a straight line, so price could definitely work its way down and then go again. So be cautious there. But this structure, I would like to see this, and also the daily could be targets if you were given a setup on the ES. Because the NQ just might be stronger, right? Go to 4 hour. Yeah. Price is just kind of down in here, middle of this inefficiency. The ES is not as bullish looking as the NQ. So we could probably get back up into these areas. The mean threshold of this huge bear candle right here is the Monday low. So maybe we get back up to the Monday low and then we see what happens from there. But initially, again, I think we run up and into the news, and then we'll see what the news does. And that's basically what I'm playing today. Yeah, consolidation right now, straight across, like nothing. So before I get involved in anything like this, I want to see a good break up into here, and then I want to see what price does here. All right, I want to see displacement above here, and then give me a little bit of a pullback, and then displacement again. And if there's enough time between now and news, which I mean, we got 2 hours, you can probably take a couple of trades right in here. But I would be careful because this could just give you a little bit of a liquidity grab and then work its way back down into the channel, and then come back up, give it a little bit more liquidity grab and work its way back into the channel. So, because we're definitely ranging pretty hard. Right in here. Go to the bodies. We'll pull this down on the body. So we're definitely ranging pretty hard right in there. And I would wait until we got a decent little break out of that. And then the overall would be this box right here that I would be concerned with. So you could possibly, if price works its way down here and looks like it's going to bounce and it gives you an entry, then go long and play it to the top of the channel. I mean, that's 5 points easy. But I would not be taking trades in here. That seems to be about it, man. You got anything else? And if you want to, like I said, practice those trend lines, I would go back in time and just start drawing them, just to kind of see how price reacts and just you put your eyes on it a little bit more often. Because I do like trend lines. I believe in them. I think that they are important, but for the most part, they are showing me where the liquidity is. And they're giving me a good idea of, where price could possibly go to. So, and that's really what trend lines are to me now. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, and you have a good day. Be safe. Again, news 8:15 and 8:30. Be careful. All right, man. Have a good one.